Everyone has beliefs, but how many of us convert those beliefs and passions into action? We hosted 3 leaders whose personal beliefs and passions drove them to take action affecting not just their lives, but the lives of others. Let's listen to SC Shekar, Ellisha, Othman, and Dr. Shahridan Faiez tell their stories on this summary episode of Cuba Cerita themed I Believe, I Do.
Children
too.
as young as 1 and 2, just running around in this horrible filth.
Oh
right?
my goodness.
So I think that really gave me that insight that, hey, something's wrong with this world, that like why are these resources kind of allocated to certain people, right?
But what choice do I have? If I leave my motorbike down there, it may not be there tomorrow morning.
Really?
Yeah? They lead very sort of precarious economic lives, They can't afford to have their motorbike stolen. They can't afford to fall sick,
Renowned photojournalist SC Shekar relates how he discovered Orang Asli and took steps to address their situation.
I was in Muazzam Shah and I stumbled upon this group of Orang Asli, the Orang Asli Jakun, who were actually living off a landfill. So they lived in this place, Bukit Biru, and they were going into this landfill every day to scavenge, to extract whatever was recyclable, and to then sell it to make a living. All right. So when I went in there, what shocked me more than anything else, what I saw were these adults, no shoes, no nothing, no gloves. They were handling toxic material, right? And I'll tell you what I used to see in that landfill, and not just the adults. There were children
too.
as young as 1 and 2, just running around in this horrible filth.
Oh
right?
my goodness.
I've seen this happen in Bangladesh. I've seen this happen in Pakistan.
But in
In
Malaysia.
Indonesia, I never thought I'd see this happen in this
And you
country.
discovered this by chance.
Yeah, by chance, completely by chance.
If there's something out there you're supposed to be doing, if you have the passion for it, then stop wishing and just do it.
So I thought to myself, I have to do something about this, right? You're a journalist, you got to do something about this. And so instead of immediately going to the authorities, because what they would have done, they would have shut the place down and no one would have had any recourse, nothing would have happened, and they would have just remained as they were. So I decided to spend a year there.
Really?
To document what was exactly happening. I saw children grow up.
Serious?
Right, over a period of 1 year. I saw them grow up. I saw them get skin problems, skin diseases, right? Then when I had enough images and evidence and videos, I then went to the different authorities and said, look, this is happening, can you help them? And everybody just said, oh, no, this is not our department, this is not, doesn't come under our purview, this. So I said, okay, fine. If I went to the newspapers, I said, look, this is happening, we got to do something about it. I decided that, look, we're going to run this story, right? And so it came out. The same time, on the same day, it came out in the Malay Mail and Malaysian Inside, and the Chinese newspapers picked it up, and quite a few other international media picked it up as well.
What continues to puzzle me is that in spite of all the positive feedback, we are still relatively low in terms of numbers of subscribers. If you have yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Spotify, which is for free, please do so now. Remember to introduce your friends and colleagues too. Together, let's continue to create and share these inspiring stories. Ellisha Othman left a cushy corporate job to pursue her passion and belief to help those in need. How did you, what prompted you, what were awareness that made it important for you to venture into this field?
Yeah, I think that decision definitely surprised everyone, including my peers. But I think, especially my peers, I think they kind of have sensed it because they know me very well. I think it began, like I mentioned, also my family background, right? I've always been interested in people, being a domestic help. Yeah, so I think when I saw that firsthand, right, how that transformed her life. I grew up with 4 adults in the house, my parents, 2 adult aunts, actually 5, and a helper who was with us for 15 years. Alhamdulillah, she's like part of family. She came from a B40 family. I think maybe like tak habis sekolah pun. But how my mom actually taught her how to, to have better literacy, send her for sewing classes, kind of taught her a bit of financial literacy that she can go for haji, and now she is back in her kampung owning a few acres of sawah padi. I think that gave me an insight into my privilege. I think that really gave me that insight that, hey, something's wrong with this world, that like why are these resources kind of allocated to certain people, right? So disparity between mental health and physical health is huge. A lot of people are not aware. So I thought, if I just come in and retrain as a clinical psychologist, that's all good. I know how to provide service, but I need to start learning how to build systems. Because there's only
Structure
services.
in place,
Exactly.
continuity, kan?
Yes, structure and continuity. And my Reknown cohort, there's so many coffee chats,
Okay.
dinners, lepak kat
Yeah.
rumah.
Yeah.
And all the ideas is actually I get from them, because they're from different industries, trying to giving me inspiration to be able to expand the services better.
Yeah.
And it's challenging, because I think when I first made that move, I think the sevens were the most supportive. My own mother, until today, when do you want to get a real job? She keep asking, when are you gonna get a real job? I think she stopped asking last year.
Okay.
That's like my 10th year in the
Also
industry.
after-
Yeah. So it's I'm faced with stigma. I'm faced with an industry that is very immature or at its infancy. But the adversities is that I see opportunities.
Kan?
Yeah. And when we change those lives of our clients, of our communities, that's when like Dan said lah, the intention tu kan, the niat tu. Yes. Yeah.
Environmental activist Dr. Shahridan Faiez continues his belief and passion in sustainable development. How did you end up pursuing your postgraduate studies at Cambridge? Was that also by plan, or was it by certain opportunities that came about?
So after I graduated, I had the option of joining the industry.
Okay.
But my passion for the environment got me to spend a bit more time on social activism. I even participated in the UN Conference on Environment and Development, UNCED, the Earth Summit. And so I was quite active in a lot of the peripheral activities for the Earth Summit. Malaysia played a very important role, and it was a sort of eye-opener for me, to look at the role of policies, both at the national level and at the global level.
Tell us, or your experience, what is it that actually went through your mind in those days?
It's very interesting, because I was an environmental activist. I was among the people who were very critical of the World Bank and IMF. And I used to participate actually in protests, movements, 50 years is enough and all that, But when I was in Cambridge, a couple of things happened, Basically, I attended a few talks, both by officials from the World Bank. They had a special event where they spoke about sustainable development. And I was struck, because everything they spoke about sort of resonated with, my own thoughts, and interest. And I felt that, okay, maybe it's not such a bad organization after all.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I decided to give it a try. I applied for their Young Professionals program, and alhamdulillah, I was able to get in. And I was put in this very unique organization. It attracts very smart people from around the world, but also people who are very passionate about poverty eradication, about social development, and about environmental management. So I was really, really happy to be in company of really remarkable people.
I now know that you are also advising other nations also on sustainable development. Where does it end? Where is it going?
I continue to be passionate about sustainable development. What really makes me tick is actually putting sustainable development into practice. Because so I've got all these ideas, you read all these books, reports, but how to make it work?
How to make it work?
Yeah, and so that's why I've initially done a lot of it at the World Bank through the projects that the World Bank finances. When I came back and my work with Kazana, I was focused on the sort of aquaculture, seafood production sector. Digital economy, agri-food, supply chain development, and financial inclusion. There's so many sectors, right, where one can apply.
It was once said that the real tragedy of the poor is poverty of their aspirations.
Okay, so one of the interesting things that I've come across, and this happened maybe about 5 years ago. I did a small piece of work for the World Bank. We were looking at the issue of urban poverty in Malaysia. And we found that, if you want to find the urban poor in Malaysia, most of them can be found in our public housing projects, our PPRs, Project Perumahan Rakyat.
Oh, okay.
And here's the interesting story, we mentioned earlier about how rapidly Malaysia has urbanized, and when you look at other countries, when you have such a rapid urbanization going on, it very often comes with rapid development of slums, because people from the outside regions, from the rural areas, they start coming into the city, right? But if you travel around Kuala Lumpur or Penang or Johor Bahru, you don't see that many slums. Because Malaysia has been very successful in housing the urban poor. So we've actually done very well in terms of housing our urban poor. A lot of people don't realize, but in the 1970s, about 70% of Kuala Lumpur was covered by setinggan.
Yeah, that's right.
But today, that's completely transformed. So we've done very well in terms of putting people into sort of modern style housing projects. But when you take a closer look, after a few decades, what you find is that what they call the development dividends, the improvements in their standard of living is beginning to decline by a different set of issues. You could say a second generation issues. So in the past, their lives improved because if you want water, you don't have to take it from the well. You can just turn the tap and get clean, safe water to drink.
Yes.
So that's the first generation improvements. Right?
All right.
But what's happened today is that because of an overall breakdown in the management of this public housing, you have very bad issues of rubbish management that creates public health risks, and various types of social ills have begun to emerge, and they all contribute towards the physical breakdown of the infrastructure of the public housing. So life in our public housing today is quite a miserable life. So because of this, we decided to put together, and when I say we, this is Think City lah. We put together a program that focuses on how do we begin to connect with these communities to help them address the issues that they are facing in their public housing. And to be able to do this, you need to have what's called community empowerment. So what we find is that social cohesion is very weak or very low in these communities. People don't know each other. There's certainly low trust. And because of that, they cannot do what's called collective action to solve their problems.
With season 3 around the corner, we return with more focus on stories with a twist. Stay with our channel as we absolutely slay.